Yeah.
There's not a lot of stops.
Yeah, there's a initiative being led jointly through Ozark Regional Transit and the Walton Family Foundation to look at bus rapid transit along the 71B corridor and along the 540 corridor to try and pick up and provide transit access opportunities that are efficient and fast for all those north-south commuters. So that's a pretty exciting.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Seattle and I saw the autonomous cars thing, and also they've got like their rapid transit. Everybody uses that bus. I mean, well, not everybody, but they have a lot of cars too. But I mean, it shows you how good rapid transit can work. And of course, the more people we know, the more people that ride the bus, the less emissions from all the cars that's out there. So I really liked what I saw there. And the autonomous car, they also talking about autonomous buses, which run off electricity, which I think is really a cool looking idea. It gets back on the emissions as well. So that's something I'm very interested in. I don't know how that's all going to play out. They're talking about running down college, but that's just in the, it's just, we're just starting on that. But Seattle's doing it. I think that'll really be good for us to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's some peer cities for us that have bus rapid trains like Austin and Albuquerque and Kansas City. A little bit more in our region.
We just,
they're having success with bus rapid transit.
Yeah, we're we tried to do the tax back in 2000 and shoot.
11 or 12.
Yeah, somewhere along it. I'm sorry.
I started.
I just remember things. I don't remember the exact dates, but we tried to pass that. And then which would have really jump-started our public transportation. I don't really think that certainly our public transportation is where it needs to be right now. We got to make improvements there, and it just, we just do.
Yeah.
So it's, I know that Walton folks have been looking at that, and Ozark Transit, so we're trying to come up with a good public transit system, which, I supported the tax for which we got. Yes, we didn't win that one. But we tried. But.
Well, one thing I'm finding interesting, getting up there in years, not probably many more than you, or maybe not. I don't know. But it's interesting to watch as we're actually, and hopefully coming full circle a little bit, because when I was a kid in Little Rock, they still had electric buses.
Yeah.
And wires.
It is interesting. I thought the same thing.
And so, and everything was, everything worked fine, and maybe, I'm sure they had the problems. But the thing is, they went from them to those bloody diesel buses that were spewing diesel fumes everywhere. And so now I'm hopefully looking that we're getting back to where it's going to be electric. And the last thing, I was looking at an Outside magazine a couple months ago, and I saw something that really confused me. Is they listed the best bicycle towns in the United States, and for some reason they chose Bentonville, which I keep up with Bentonville a little bit because my family's got cabins with no visitor going up there. So I think you'll need to correct the record.
No, we're the only silver
and
bicycle friendly.
Exactly. I think it's probably because Waltons were attached to the name of the city, but I know y'all have the city of Headwaters has a much better job.
We've got a
program in the city of Bentonville does. They might be trying.
It may have been their mountain biking too.
Yeah, it's part
They
of
do
it.
have good mountain biking.
Yeah.
We're working on that one too. So I was trying to think of. I wanted to ask you all a question.
Yes.
Now, I had kind of, and I was trying to ask you all something because I'm interested to see what your position is. When I went and looked at the electric cars, well, they're not running on any kind of gasoline, but they can put more cars on the road. Now, so somebody said that you could just tell the car to go downtown and pick up something, like a pizza. I believe they used the example of a pizza. Well, I mean, a lot of times you won't get in a car and go down, but if you just got a car that just goes down there and picks it up for you, which,
So you're talking about autonomous
see what I'm
cars.
saying? Because you put more cars on the road.
Yeah.
So I don't know, have y'all?
Well, that's an issue of the self-driving cars, not just electric cars.
Well, I mean, self-driving
Yeah.
cars, autonomous cars, I apologize, I should have made it clear. So I'm a little bit, when I saw the one thing, I thought, well, these are really cool, and then they said, but you're gonna have more trips a day. So you're gonna have more congestion, because if I go home right now, instead of me getting in the car and going down to the pizza place and saying, make me a pizza and driving down there, I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna do that. But if I just had a car that I programmed it to go down and load it up and come back, you see what I'm saying? So I see that it could create more cars on the road. Have y'all ever?
I think what you're more likely to see, if I could predict the future, is, you know, a lot of the retailers now are investing not just in drones for deliveries, but also robots for deliveries.
Yeah.
You know, like that will just take it directly to you, there's no human involved. So it's probably gonna be more efficient, if I had to guess, for these folks to deliver them to you.
Yeah, the pizza joints themselves could have the self-driving
Right.
fleet
Yeah,
that takes the cars out.
And
And that wouldn't change the numbers of vehicles on the road necessarily.
But if, you see what I'm saying? If-
Yeah.
If you got the convenience of just going home and programming that car to go somewhere for you, instead of you going yourself, you might have a tendency to put that car on, more cars on the road. And I do not know if that's good or bad, or, I just thought you all might.
Depends on whether you own a pizza place.
Yeah, I guess, forget the pizza. I use a bad example.
Well, I hadn't thought about it that way. honestly.
Send
I
like a
mean,
black one for
I
beer.
guess, you know, when I thought about that, I thought, well, you know, there's the convenience of a car doing what you might not do. So you might have a tendency to go down to the laundry and pick up the
One
laundry.
question I've had is if you go to the bar and you got a self-driving car, can you get drunk and have your car drive you home? Or is that-
Well, that's,
As long as you can get progress, address.
Yeah.
but I see, that could really be, and it was really interesting because when that's the first time I've seen it said it on one of those classes, and I just think, wow, the car you just get in the back of it and say, let's go. I'm really not tremendously, I don't know how comfortable I am.
Yeah,
I think I kind of like
Still too
to, I
old.
kind of like to have the
I'm
control.
still too old school, I'm afraid, but all the younger folks nowadays are
The computer.
raised a little, they're coming up a little different.
Just all kinds of stuff. One of the things that we're really working toward, I've been studying these innovation districts. I got a book on that where you have the hubs where, you can live and you can work. And I just really think those are the coolest things, and we sort of are seeing that developed where the university is doing the arts thing.
Art and design district.
Yeah, down there where the old Brenda Spiegelberger used to be. And then, you look at the square and, these innovation districts that are popping up. And when I looked at the pictures, some of them looked like our square. And I thought, let's just, because everybody can they're in this district that they can live in, and they don't have to get in a car to go anywhere. I just thought that was really,
Very nice.
yeah. So that's where it's coming.
Well, large cities have people develop their own little neighborhoods in our cities, and that's pretty much where they can find themselves if they find everything they need there. This sounds like a group, a movement back toward community in a way.
Yeah.
In which you can realize most of your life drives right there.
Right.
That sounds like old home to me, sort of.
Yeah, but I really like those because you got the businesses that come in and they set up their business and everything is developed where they live, where they eat, and just everything is just like little innovation centers, which is really cool things. I like those.
You don't want to get too comfortable with that, though. There's a story from about 1929 by Ian Forster called The Machine Stops, in which absolutely everything was available to the individual in his own sell
yeah.
until the system broke down. It's an interesting story.
Okay, any other questions?
I just had one on the, citywide composting. Because I know we did the pilot and they were looking at possibly rolling it out. Is that actually going to be, or when is, I guess, the time frame on that? And will it truly be like residential or will it be like citywide with like restaurants and?
So it was restarted again, August
Yeah.
26th, I believe, right after school started.
Yep.
And right now, we're picking up at 7 locations, four of the cafeterias on campus, and then at 3 schools at Happy Hollow, Holt, and Holcomb Elementary Schools.
Yeah.
And with compost, especially food waste compost, it's very much, the strategy is, you want to crawl, then you want to walk, and then you want to run. You don't want to bring in too much material too soon, too early, because that food waste, if it sits too long without getting, mixed, it's a big mess, especially when it's warm like it is right now. So we're slowly ramping it back up. We do have a few limitations currently in terms of numbers of vehicles and staffing, but are putting some plans together to expand vehicles and staffing so that we can move to more restaurants and grocery stores probably in the next sort of expansion phase, because they're the largest generators in the community. And then, hopeful to, do a really good job with the commercial sector with an eventual plan of looking at how could residential be brought into that at some point in the future. But
Yeah, I don't know, we didn't really got into the residential.
yeah, it'll be a while until we have the residential sort of brought into the program, but it is up and running again, and I think we've collected a little over 6 tons of food waste since the program was restarted late last month. So it's happening, and it's a really exciting process, and speeds up the compost. The end product is much more nutrient rich, way better compost. We've had the full analysis done.
You have just a big a lot somewhere where you pile the stuff up and turn it?
Yeah, we have a 2-acre concrete pad down at the city's recycling and trash facility. So it's the same facility where we've done yard waste composting for years, and so now we just have some windrows that are a blend of yard waste.
Oh,
and food waste.
you're blending this in with yard waste?
Yeah.
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 And I was thinking they told us that it was 3 times faster with the food composting.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So is the
well,
compost that,
Nutrient.
Just the
and
moisture
better
content
compost,
would accelerate stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really cool.
so can you now, like I know that you can, residents can buy or purchase like mulch and city compost, so now that's being mixed in with that as well?
It's not available yet, because,
But that's the
we've
idea,
just got
eventually?
started again, but eventually, yeah, it will be.
Y'all still have no trouble getting rid of the compost the city generates?
The compost, no. The mulch, sort of just the ground up trees and wood waste. We have a little bit of surplus on that right now. I think that pile's got a little bit large. I can't remember if they're giving it away free right now, or maybe they're getting ready to give it away for free. So bring your water bill and come on down. And get
Load
some
it
of that. Yeah.
Load it up for you.
Dump it right in your trailer or your truck for you, but you gotta unload it.
Mhm.
Don't unload it.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it, what are you doing with the compost now?
With
The
The
compost?
food compost?
it's sold back to residents.
That is-
So it's available for sale down at the recycling and trash facility.
It's
Yeah.
real reasonable too.
So, South Haven Hollow Road, over in southeast Fayetteville, off of 15th Street, kind of where 15th makes a big sweeping bend back to the north. Kind of right there is where the city's transportation, parks, and recycling and trash facilities are all located.
Is that the same kind of bring your water bill and?
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah, that's super exciting. We're really excited about
yeah,
that.
everybody was in support of the compost.
Yeah, I mean, 30% of, when we do our waste audit, 30% of what we send to the landfill is food waste, which is a resource that we're just stuffing in landfill. So to be able to compost that and turn it into a product that, is reusable and super nutrient rich and dense is just, it's really exciting.
Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Y'all take care now.
Yeah, thanks for
Maybe take care. Thank you very much.
Right on.
All right,
thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Put my glasses on nowadays to read.
Good job.
Terrible.
Good job.
Okay, well, I sure got Peter's name wrong, but Jesse Wagner, I think is correct. He was there when I wrote it down. She asked to speak to us just for a few minutes regarding a Tyson issue we usually do not hear about. She's with Mighty Earth, and she'll be talking on a little bit about the grain manufacturer, the chicken feed manufacturing side. Trying to get this right, growing side of the Tyson operation. So, like, absolutely.
So hello everybody, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for letting me have a few minutes to speak. I will say that I moved here about 2 weeks ago, and I think my parents' greatest fears are coming true, that I might never move back home to New York. Yeah, it does. It seems like just a really great city. Alright, so my name is Jessie, and I'm with Mighty Earth. We are working on a campaign to get Tyson to influence the industrial agricultural sector by making a commitment to buy only sustainably grown animal feed. So I'm going to rewind really quickly on that. By show of hands, who has heard of the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico? Okay, great, excellent. I'm not surprised, but this is a good group for that. Okay, you've heard of the dead zone. How about this little company, Tyson Foods? Yeah, okay, great, cool. And how about, show of hands, who knows that the industrial meat sector is the biggest contributor to water pollution in the country?
Makes sense.
Yeah, all right, so we're a very well-informed group here. All right, so America is the biggest meat producer in the world. And this makes America a leader in growing the corn and soy that we need to feed those animals. And because the meat industry just requires so much grain to feed a growing number of livestock, the practices that are being used right now are really resource intensive, they're input heavy, and this is causing just an unprecedented amount of water pollution. This year we have the largest dead zone on record. It is the size of New Jersey, down in the Gulf of Mexico. So this is clearly an issue that needs to be addressed. What is kind of surprising, I think, is that a lot of this pollution isn't actually coming from animal feedlots. It's coming from the way we grow corn and soy that we then feed those animals. This is also a part of the supply chain that people haven't really addressed before. So there are a lot of groups, including here in Fayetteville, like the Buffalo River Watershed Alliance, that are focusing on addressing pollution from like the animal feedlots, but we're trying to look one step earlier in the supply chain. So we want to address this issue, and the best way for us to do this is to get the meat industry to clean up their act. So we're starting with kind of the worst offender and the biggest offender, which is Tyson Foods. As I'm sure you guys are very familiar, they own Tyson. They own Jimmy Dean, they own Hillshire Farms, they own Sara Lee, which I didn't know, and 24 other companies, so they have a lot going on. They produce 1 out of every 5 pounds of meat sold in the US, which means they're one of the biggest consumers of the grain that feeds those animals. And they also have themselves been consistently one of the worst polluters in the entire country. So they have quite a record. But the good news is that Tyson's CEO, Tom Hayes, who came in about 1.5 years ago, has said that he wants his company to be more sustainable, which is a really great thing, but he hasn't really done anything to follow up on that vision. So as we started this campaign, he's announced that they will be making a broad coalition essentially to investigate this issue further. But we've done a study, we did an intensive study, the first of its kind, to analyze where water pollution is coming from in the supply chain. And we found that we're seeing some of the heaviest concentrations of nitrogen pollution, so fertilizer pollution, in the areas where Tyson has a lot of their grain silos. So Tyson is big, they're driving a lot of the pollution. But because of both those things, if we can get them to change, we can have a really big impact on water pollution in this country. Not only will their suppliers change, they kind of set industry standards, so what they do, others will follow. So, like I said, the goal of our campaign is to get Tyson's to make a real commitment to write down a policy saying that they will only buy animal feed that's grown in a way that conserves natural lands, improves soil health, reduces soil erosion, and all of those things will reduce the need for excessive fertilizer use and will help reduce water pollution. So Mighty Earth has done some of this work before. We ran a campaign last year to get Kellogg's to make a non-deforestation commitment, and they did. So they are now working on having non-deforestation sourced soy in their plants, and we're now applying that campaign strategy domestically. So, how are we going to do this? Great question, you might ask. So, the first thing that's going to be happening is coming up this week, and let's pass around some flyers for that. On Tuesday, September 19th at 7 p.m., we'll be meeting at the Unitarian Church in Fayetteville. We'll be kicking off this campaign officially. That's going to be a great way to hear more about this campaign, to hear more about the issue. The woman who runs this campaign over in DC is coming down. She'll be giving some talks. We'll be brainstorming ideas about how to get Tyson to really listen to us. And it's really important that we have a strong voice because we're in Tyson's backyard. So we'll be having this kickoff meeting. You should all put it on your calendars. You should come. It's going to be awesome. In addition to that, over the next few months, we'll be doing days of action. We'll be doing call-ins to Tyson's headquarters to tell them we want them to clean up their act, leaving Tom Hayes a lot of phone messages. We'll be doing a petition delivery, writing letters to the editors, the whole shebang. But yeah, step one is kicking off. So, like I said, we will be doing a petition drive, where we'll be delivering a lot of petitions. So, you can put your name on a petition and have your voice heard. So I will pass these around as well. Oh, you have a pen. Okay, great. I will pass this one over to you. Kind of while you start filling those out, I'll just tell you a little background about why I'm here and how I got here. So I'm originally from New York. I went to school, started doing a lot of research on environmental things. I've been an environmental activist for as long as I can remember, but I got really excited about research in college, so I spent 3 years out of school doing research on environmental policy stuff, and it became really frustrating to me because it takes a really long time for policy to happen. And in the current administration, the prospect of passing new environmental legislation or better environmental legislation or improving existing environmental legislation is going to be a big challenge. And that might be saying it optimistically. So I wanted to do something where I could have a real impact. Like I said, the water pollution from the meat industry is a serious problem, and it's a problem that nobody's tried to address on such a large scale. A lot of industrial agriculture is exempt from policy, so it's kind of crazy that it is, but it is for whatever reason. So if you can't use policy pressure, then use people power to pressure companies to do the right thing. So I quit my job in DC, and I am now working with Mighty Earth here in Arkansas to show Tyson we mean business. So I hope you all join us. We need a lot of people to make this happen because Tyson's a big corporate entity, they have a lot of money, and the only way that the little guys fighting for the good fight can go up against a big company is to have a lot of people. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I don't know if we're wrapping up the meeting and have time for formal questions.
I have a few questions.
Yeah, all right, so I'm happy to take questions.
I guess you also know that Tyson, of course, started out with chickens, but then expanded not only into other food companies, but they are some of the largest hog producers in the U.S.
Yep.
And I can tell you that you think chickens are bad, hogs are worse. to the amount of grain they eat, to the amount of manure and waste they produce. So I know that's part of your program.
Yeah.
That you're from New York, knew the area, I wanted to make sure you knew that it's pigs and chickens.
Yeah. I went to school in North Carolina and they have a lot of problems. with
Yeah,
how
we
we-
do. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
So you're not new to this part of the South.
Eat crickets.
There are any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I'm curious, I'm sure Tyson has a pretty strong relationship with Walmart. And Walmart has made a pretty strong sustainability commitment through their supply chain. I'm just wondering if your advocacy work has at all had any interaction with those players at Walmart that may also be potentially allies in that conversation with Tyson.
Yeah, good question. So this campaign officially launched 3 or 4 weeks ago, so it's still like in its early phases. We are doing a lot of coalition work on a national scale. I don't know if in particular we are looking at Walmart, although I would be surprised given if we aren't, given what you're saying. I know that the current target is to get some celebrity chefs and foodies involved and try to have them make a statement on getting Tyson to clean up their act.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it,
Yeah, thank you.
Just real quick, Glenn, did you want to do any updates or points of wisdom or points of action, anything you'd like to give to us, please do.
I'll make sure everybody got these going.